Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To configure VLANs, we will start with the first step to configure the name of the switch, then the passwords. To access to this switch, we have to configure the console password, the VTY password, this to access for the configuration, and we will configure the enable secret password, this to give privilege for user exec privilege to access to configure the router. The first step to configure the host name, we have to use the command hostname and S1. Then to configure the enable password, we use the command and the configuration mode enable password class. This the value of the password. Normally we can use any other value for this password. Now to configure the VTY and the console password, we start with the console password with the command line console 0, the password example Cisco, the value of this password Cisco, login to activate this password. For the line VTY, the same command line, like line console, we use line VTY 015. Why 015? Because we have a high number of ports inside the switch, not like the router to 0 to 4. The password line password Cisco, we use the same password like console password. Login to activate this password. Now we finish the first part to configure the name and the switch passwords. We put exit, then to copy this configuration, we go back to the privilege exec mode, and we copy running configuration to startup configuration. This command will copy the configuration from the RAM of the switch to the NVRAM of this switch. The same commands I will do it to switch 2 and 3. I will show you a method that we can copy this command to other switches. How to do this? We go to switch 1, then we go to config. Here we have startup configuration. We can load or export this configuration, and we have running configuration. We can export or merge, and like upload this configuration. For us, we will export this running configuration, save it in my desktop, then I will upload it to other switches. I will like take a copy from the configuration for switch 1, and I will upload it to switch 2 and 3. To don't spend time to do the same configuration for switch 1 and switch 2 and switch 3. This is the configuration for switch 1. Here I have old files. I will just replace this files. Okay, now I will go to desktop, and I will open this configuration, this text file configuration that contain algorithm that I do. Just here I modify the name because I will upload it to switch 2. I put S2, and all other things like passwords, Cisco password for the console and the VTY. And if you see here, we have another command to encrypt this passwords. We use in service encryption password to encrypt this password. I quick do it here before take this copy. Normally, and this command, I go to configure terminal. Then I will put the command service password encryption to encrypt this password, and I will copy the same configuration with the encryption of this password. If I take a new copy from this, I export a new copy from this running configuration, export to my desktop, then I will replace the last copy, save, yes, okay. Now I reopen the text file that contains this configuration. Here we have for the enable password, enable secret password, I will modify just the name to S2, and here we have the encrypted password. Look here, when we modify when we add the command service password encryption, we see here that this password used for console on the, for VTY encrypt. Now I will save this file save as, and we'll save it with S2. Normally I have an already existing version. I will replace it. Yes. Now I will go to switch 1, and I do also at the same time I will do another copy for switch 3. Just we modify this by 3, and we can save it as S3. Okay. Now we go to switch to config. Here we have the running configuration. We click merge, select S2 configuration, open configuration merge. Okay. If now I will access to this switch, normally I will find this configuration from desktop, terminal. Okay, and here we have the password directly from this switch, and we can use the Cisco password, then enable, ask me the enable secret password. The value of this enable secret password is class, out class, and now we have the switch configured by this running configuration, not startup configuration. I need to copy it to have this configuration saved in the NVRAM. Copy running configuration to startup configuration, and now I have saved this copy in the NVRAM of switch 2. I will do it for switch 3. Config, merge, select the copy of the configuration that exists in this text file, open it. Okay. Then from the console, if we need to access desktop, terminal, okay, and here we have the password, Cisco, enable password class. And here we can copy the configuration, copy running configuration to startup configuration. We can use this method to take copy, Hassan, when we have same configuration, just we have a few differences between network device. For routers, for switch, it's the same. But for VLANs, we have the problem for VLANs, we cannot copy VLANs. We have another method to copy VLAN that we name VLAN database. Now, we will go to next step to configure VLANs on the switch. Step 1, create VLANs on switch 1. We will create 4 VLANs. VLAN 99, named management or and native. VLAN 10, named faculty or staff. VLAN 20, named student, and VLAN 30, named guest. Each VLAN needs an ID, and this mandatory value or field, and we need a name. This is optional. We need a name and an ID for each VLAN. We will start with switch 1 to add this VLANs. We go to switch 1. Switch 1. We will do it for 3 switches. Okay, how to add VLANs? We have two methods. We can use the configuration mode to add VLANs, or we can use that we name VLAN database. From the privilege mode here, we can use the command VLAN database. VLAN database, and we can add VLANs. This a method. We have another method from the configuration mode. You can go from configuration mode, configure terminal, and you can add VLANs. I will give you a simple example to configure this. The first, the example that used here, we use the configuration mode VLAN 99. The VLAN is the command, 99 is the value, then the name is the command, and management is the value. For the abbreviation, we will use MGT for management, FAC for faculties, and STD for student, and GST for guest. I like abbreviation for this name. First, for switch 1, VLAN 99, and we have here config VLAN, config VLANs. Name MGT management, like an abbreviation. The second VLAN, just use the up arrow to select the last command and replace 99 by MGT. VLAN 10, name, I replace MGT by FAC. The third VLAN 20, name STD for student, and VLAN 30, and the name GST for guest. And now I finished to configure this new four VLANs. I put and I will use the command show VLAN. We can use the command show VLAN, will show VLAN brief. With the command show VLAN, here we have this three VLANs that I add to this switch. Normally the switch has a default VLAN, the administrative VLAN, VLAN 1, name default, but this all ports assigned to this VLAN 1. Normally when we configure our switch, we need to assign the ports between this new VLANs that I add to this switch. Okay, how to add this VLANs? We need an ID and a name for each VLAN. For other switch, look here, I will give you a quick method to add your VLANs. But this for the soft copy, not for the real device. For real device, you need to use this command. From switch 1, you can go like that, and you have here config, you have VLAN database. Just here you put the number of the VLAN, 99 for example, GMT, and add VLAN 10 faculty student, VLAN 20 student, add, and VLAN 30 for GST or guest. We need, because we have the same VLANs for switch 3, switch 1, etc. We need to use the same character, small, small, capital, capital. If you put a different name, you have a new or a different VLAN. For example, for a guest, if you put it small for switch 1 and capital for switch 2, these two different VLANs. Okay? Default already exists. Who will say this?
بين قوسين default.
let this for بعدين نشوف إن شاء الله. Normally we have now this VLANs for VLANs 10, 20, 30 and 99. This another method, and we can do it for switch 3 VLAN database 99 the name GMT MGT MGT. Second one 10 for faculties, 20 for students. Try to use the first method. This will give you how to for the real configuration for real switches. 30 for GS. Now I finish with the configuration of this VLANs. The next step is to assign ports for each VLAN, because all ports assigned to VLAN اللي هو default VLAN اللي هو VLAN 1 by default. Normally this VLAN not to be modified or deleted, VLAN 1, because it's the default VLAN used to manage the switch.
Access each bus Ethernet.
And
add it to the VLAN.
We have like 3 steps to add to verify that VLANs have been created on the switch with the command show VLAN or show VLAN brief. We can do it this for switch 2 for example. Yes.
Switch 2 نسوي نفس الطريقة.
Yes.
VLAN database نضيف عليه.
Yes. VLAN show VLAN brief to see this VLANs. Not assigned شباب.
لازم تسوي له assign. كل بورت تسوي له assign لأن هم اللي كانوا على الديفولت.
لا, no VLANs here. Why we don't have no VLANs? For switch 2.
كمان سويت
But we do it from here. From switch 2. We add this for switch 3 and for switch 2. VLAN database. سوينا just for switch 1. Okay, no problem. Yes, for a switch we need to add this to create this for VLANs. VLAN 99
10, 20, 30.
GMT VLAN 10 for faculties, VLAN 20 for students, VLAN. By mistake, if I put here, I let the same ID and I put another name, for example. The name اللي هو student should be changed to how to correct this error. Just you let the same number and you modify the name here. يعني like the same ID and you modify the name or put the correct name STD. And the last one 30 or yes. Okay. Now I will use the same command for switch 2 to show this VLANs, and if you see here, like the configuration that I do now, here I put exit and show VLAN brief. We have our new VLANs out of this switches.
دكتور عادل لو كانوا نفس الاسم نفس اسم الفيلانس.
بالله شوي ولا ضغطت على هذا السبب. Okay, now for add we know how to add VLANs. Now how to delete a VLAN. For example, I will add a VLAN. For example, VLAN 25 name yeah, for this command شباب, for when we use this method, VLAN 25 name, we put the name in the same line of the command name, for example staff. Okay, when we use this method, not from the configure, when we add VLANs from VLAN database, we use in the same line of command, we put the ID and the name in the same line. في configuration mode, we put the name, then we put the line. To delete VLAN, we could put here delete VLAN no VLAN, just we put the ID 25. Okay, okay, if we put, but before this we can use we will speak about VLANs when we delete VLANs with assigned ports. These are important things. When you have VLAN with assigned ports, when you delete VLAN, which is the problem for this port, this assigned ports. Now we go to assigned ports. Go to switch to assign ports from PC to for switch 2. Normally to assign ports we go to configuration mode, configure terminal, then we will select to assign ports. We can assign ports one by one or with a range of ports. When we have not ordered ports, we assign them one by one, like that. We put, for example, interface F001, for example, F/01 fast Ethernet 01, we can use F tab fast Ethernet, or you can put just FA, we'll put just F0/1, and you will assign this only one port to a specific VLAN. The first command, we will specify which kind of uses for this port. We have two kinds of use: access port or trunk port. Access port to connect a computer, to connect a host, an end device. But if you use trunk to connect another switch, trunk, like a channel between switches. But here I will use this, first of all, this port, I will use it like an access. Then when we finish, this part, we have that fast 01 should be a trunk. And by default, ports are in the access mode, not trunk mode, by default. By default, if you don't put this command now, normally if you assign any ports to any VLAN, it should be in the access mode. Like in the trunk mode, you need to modify the situation because the most use of ports is the access mode.
But what's the difference between
The access mode that I explain now, to connect end devices. The trunk port to connect switches between switches. Trunk mode to the trunking of data between different VLANs. We continue with switch 1. Here, when we have switch 2, sorry, we put the second command when we select the interface, access, switch port mode access. This will specify in which mode we will use this port, access or trunk. Then we will use the second command, switch port access which VLAN, VLAN 99, for example, 99 or not. For example, 99, Khalid. This is an example. The first command, select the interface. Second command, which mode you will use, switch port mode access or mode trunk. And you will select which VLAN should you will assign this to this port, or you will assign this port. Now, for our configuration here, and you will see when we assign the state of the port changes, because we have a new situation for this port. For our lab, we have this table that contains assignment ports for switch 2 and 3. From F01 to 5 assigned to VLAN 99. From 06 to 10 VLAN 30, 11 to 70 VLAN 10, and 18 to 24 to VLAN 20. يلا شباب, we go to quickly with this part.
الدكتور من أي سويتش؟
With switch 2 and switch 3. We start with switch 2, then we go to switch 3. Okay? The first, now I will use when we have a range of ports, and ordered ports, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will use the command interface range. Sorry, I will put exit to see this command. You can do it directly with the abbreviation, but if you need to see the total command, we use we exit and we re-enter to this interface. Interface range fast Ethernet 0, 1, 2, 5. We put it like that, not 01 slash or dash 05. 01 dash 5. Switch port mode access. Switch port access VLAN 99. This for the first ports, range of ports. If we put the mouse here on the switch 2, you see here we have VLAN 99 from 01 to 5. Okay? Now we continue with the next part reserved for 6 to 10 for VLAN 30. The same command, we use the same command. Don't spend time to put the commands. Just use the up arrow to select the appropriate range from 6 to 9 to 10. This switch port mode access, the same command, and which VLAN access switch port mode access VLAN 30. Then for the next range from 11 to 17, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN, which VLAN? From 11 to VLAN 10, and the last range from 18 to 24, assigned to VLAN, switch port mode access, then access VLAN, VLAN 20. Now I put exit or end to go back to privilege mode directly, because if you use exit, I will use exit, then I put 2 attempts exit to reach the privilege exec mode. When we use end, I directly go to privilege exec mode, and here we can use the command copy running configuration to startup configuration, and we use the command show VLAN brief to see that all VLANs that I create assigned with their ports. And for VLAN 1 اللي هو default VLAN, just we have gigabit 1 and 2 assigned to this. I do the same command for VLAN switch assign ports for switch 3 from PC4. Here we have to access again from the console the Cisco password, enable password class, and we go to configure terminal. We use the command interface range. The same range of ports should be assigned to VLANs, and the same that I do on switch 1, switch 2, I do it to switch 3. Interface range FA or fast Ethernet 0, 1 to 5. Switch 4 mode access, switch 4 access VLAN 99. Then the same command, but we modify the range from 6 to 10. Switch 4 mode access, switch 4 VLAN 30. Then switch 4 interface range from 11 to 17. Switch 4 mode access, switch 4 VLAN access VLAN 10, and the last from 18 to 24. And you have to select switch 4 mode access and switch 4 access VLAN 20, and use the command and to show this VLAN. Copy running configuration to startup configuration, then show VLAN brief to show this port. Now we have the same ports and there's two switches assigned to this. Just here شباب, when we delete VLAN here we're assigned ports.
You have to change the port.
أيوة. Okay, I will do it now. For example, أيوة. فnormally configure term. When I need to delete a VLAN, I put the command no VLAN, for example 99, and then I show the VLAN brief. Look here, VLAN fac student, and we don't have the VLAN 99. But where is ports assigned to this VLAN? If we put the mouse on the switch 3, still assigned in the mirror of of the switch to VLAN 99. Only if I reassign them to a specific VLAN. But if you let it like that, normally this is still like this port assigned to another VLAN. If I re-add the same name, the same VLAN with the same name and the same number, VLAN 99, I will see that we have the same ports assigned to this VLAN. How to do this? Enable, configure terminal, VLAN 99, name management MGT, and I will show again the configuration, and we have here VLAN 99 and their ports. Okay? And the question, when we delete a VLAN, normally the ports assigned to this VLAN still assigned and the memory of the switch to this VLAN. If you need to reassign them to another VLAN, you need to use the same commands to assign this ports to another VLAN. If you add the same name and the same ID for this VLAN, you can see that the old assigned ports already assigned to this VLAN. Now we will configure the VLAN interfaces by adding IP address for management VLANs in 3 switches. We start from switch 1. We go to switch 1 terminal. Okay, here we have to re-enter the console password, enable secret password, then configure terminal, and we have to select the interface VLAN with the command, like when we need to assign IP address for any interface. I need to put interface VLAN 99 IP address. Which is the IP address? This the IP address for VLAN 99 in switch 1. Subnet mask to 55.255.255.0. And normally for each interface we need to put the command no shutdown. But this VLAN is a logical interface, normally directly change it to state up. And if you see here, just when you put interface VLAN, you have link changed interface VLAN 99, change it to state to up. And you don't need to use the command no shutdown. But if you have a real interface, you need to use this command no shutdown. I go to switches 2 and 3 for switch 2. Configure terminal, then I will use interface VLAN 99. I need space between VLAN and the ID of this VLAN. Then the command, just we will modify this to 12. The same for switch 3. Configure terminal, interface VLAN 99, and we have the command IP address, just modify to 13. And now normally all ports, all switches have this IP address. If you put the mouse, you see in the bottom of this window VLAN 99 app 99 and its IP address. Okay, for all switches you can see this. This IP need for forwarding, for pinging, and normally if you forget to put it, you cannot ping between your device. Now the next step, configure trunk and the native VLAN for each one. Yes. Before this, if we need to test the ping, we will try this. Please take care for this point, because when we have, because here we have one computer in each switch related to one VLAN. Okay. first of all, I will add IPs for these computers. Normally, I will put from the addressing table, you have the IP address for each computer. Okay? I will go to PC1. One of you, Shabab, can give us the IP address. Okay? Which is the IP address for PC1? IP address for PC1, Shabab. 1 is 172.17. Here we have 10.21. This, what we use this 10?
For the default gateway?
Because this for the, no, not the gateway. This for the VLAN 10.
VLAN 10, yes.
VLAN 10. Computer number 21. And the subnet mask 172.10.10.21. Subnet mask and the default gateway.
10.1.
Normally the same. Huh?
Except instead of 21.1.
Yes. Just. But it's DNS, we don't need to use DNS. This for PC1. PC2. PC2. 172.17. 20. 22. Subnet mask. Take care for the subnet mask. 255. Because we have slash 24. We take care for this. I will correct it for PC1. Here we have the default gateway 192.168. 172.17.20.1. I go back to PC1 to correct this. Here 255, 0. PC3 172.17.30.23. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and 172.17.30.1. For PC4 17 10 24 PC4 subnet mask. This PC normally should be in the same network to PC1. Okay.
The
172.17.20.25 255 and the gateway 172.17.20.1 and the last one 192.168 sorry 172.17.30.26 and we have the subnet mask and here the gateway 192.17.30.1. Okay, now I finish to assign IPs. If I test the ping between these computers normally inside the same switch, يعني if we don't configure any VLAN, we have we can ping, we have a successful ping. But here, because we have different VLANs, normally PCs cannot ping together. And computers assigned to the same VLAN, but in different switches, cannot ping together because we need to configure the trunk mode. To justify this, I will add a computer to the same VLAN and the same switch and test and the same network, and we set the ping. We add a computer to, for example, PC3, in which port, in which VLAN? PC3 VLAN 99. Okay, I will connect this computer PC, خلينا نسميه PC A حتى to okay, we connect it to the same ports assigned to VLAN 30 for the VLAN guest 7, for example. This computer normally in the same VLAN like computer PC3, it will ping to it. We will assign an IP address. The IP address 172.17.30, for example, 30.
29.
No, I will put 3, no problem. The subnet mask 255 and the gateway 172.17.31. And I will test the ping between these two computers that exist in the same VLAN and the same network. We will ping from PC3 to PCA. We have successful ping because exists in the same VLAN. If I change the VLAN, look, I will put it in VLAN in the port 24. Normally this port is assigned to VLAN 10 or VLAN 20, VLAN 20 for student. And here click to fast forward. And normally I will let the same IP here, the same network of PC3. And if we test the ping, we cannot ping because different VLAN and same network. Now I let it the same VLAN, the port 7, but I modify the network address 20, for example, and the gateway. Normally this cannot ping. Fast forward and we will test the ping, a successful ping, because here we have in the same VLAN but we have different networks. To have a successful connection we need the same VLAN and the same network address.
Or different network address but the same VLAN.
أيوة, or this we let it when we configure the trunk to find this point. When we have to ping between VLANs, from VLAN faculty to VLAN student, is it possible or not? This is an important point. Now, if I need to ping, I will remove this PC and I will continue my configuration. For example, if we ping between computers in the same VLAN but in different networks, they cannot ping because they exist in different VLANs, and you need to configure the trunk ports to permit this communication. This trunk, we have to select the port and the specific port. Configure trunk and native VLAN for the trunking ports and all switches. First of all, you can read this paragraph, but just what is a VLAN, a native VLAN? A native VLAN is signed to and this like a protocol 802.1q trunk port in topology. The native VLAN is VLAN 99 and 802.1q trunk port support traffic coming from many VLANs as well as traffic that does not come from a VLAN. The 802 trunk ports place and tag traffic on the native VLAN. 802.1q. This protocol will give like an identification for each VLAN. Each VLAN will give like an identifier because data for 3 VLANs they will go through the same link, but to differentiate between this data from these 3 VLANs, we use this protocol to differentiate between these pacts. Pacts for VLAN, for example, VLAN 20, they have a specific ID. VLAN 30, specific ID. Who does this? This protocol. We go to configure this protocol. First of all, we go to PC1 to configure it in PC and switch 1 terminal. Okay, in switch 1 we have 2 interfaces to be changed to trunk mode. Interface fast Ethernet 01, this interface, and fast Ethernet 03. We access from the console with the console password, enable secret password, configure terminal, interface, fast Ethernet 01, switch port, mode, trunk, and which VLAN will play the role to control this trunking is VLAN 99, management, VLAN management. Switch port, native, sorry, لا لا محمد رسول الله.
كل السويتشات 01 02 خليهم
Switch port, trunk, native VLAN 99, yes. Switch port, trunk, native VLAN 99. Then we put I do it for the interface 03 fast Ethernet 0/3, the same command, and switch port, mode, trunk, then switch port, trunk native VLAN 99. I do this for all other switch, for switch 1 and switch 3 and switch 2. For switch 2, we have fast Ethernet 01 only. I will configure this like trunk port. Configure terminal, interface FA01, switch port, mode, trunk, and switch port, trunk, native VLAN 99, and I go to switch 3 to do the same command for interface fast Ethernet 03. Configure terminal, interface F03, switch port, mode, trunk, and switch port, trunk, native VLAN 99, and Then we copy running configuration to startup configuration, and now we can show our configuration show VLAN. If you see here, we have fast Ethernet 01 and 03 not exist because this port is signed here. Fast Ethernet, this mod trunk. This for switch 3 normally fast 03 is signed, not 03. If you see here, we have 01, 02, 04, 05. 03 not signed like an access port because we change it to mod trunk for the switch 3. This switch 3, and for switch 4, if you see here, switch fast Ethernet 01 link. You see VLAN, we have this 2 dash, we don't have the assigned VLAN, and the same for fast Ethernet 03. And for switch S2 we have fast Ethernet 01, the trunk interface. Now I will test the ping between VLANs. I will delete this scenario, and I will start the ping from PC1 to PC4 because this exists in the same VLAN. We have this ping, and if we use the simulation mode to see the ping from, for example, PC2 to PC from PC2 to PC5, and we will start the compilation. If you see here, PC2 send back to switch 2. You see here the type of the protocol ICMP in the begin. We start with the ARP packet.
دكتور كله فين على نفس الفيلان.
Last VLAN normally you have successful. You have assigned the correct IPs.
نفس النتورك نفس الفيلان successful. But different networks.
Different networks. We will discuss this point. Okay. Now if we test the ping between, now شوف here شباب, we finish the ARP and we will go to ICMP message. Okay, you remember this for the ICMP, the Wireshark capturing. And normally the first packet sent is an ARP packet. Then when we receive the destination MAC address, we can use the ICMP or transmit the ICMP message. And here we have in progress. Why we have this in progress? Because we need, when this message reach PC2, we will have here successful. Okay. Now we go to the go back to the real time. Your colleague says when we test the ping between different VLANs, between different computers in same switch, but in different VLANs, we have the field connection because here we need to be in the same network and in the same VLAN. To permit this the ping between different VLANs, ya Sal. To permit this, ya Ammar, to permit this ping between different VLANs, we need to use a router. Some VLAN routing, لأنه different networks. Which device permit this? A router can do the pinging or the communication between different networks. Different VLANs. Who manages the configuration between VLANs? The switch. But who route between different networks? The router. For this reason, if we need to have the ping between different VLANs, we can use a router to do this. But if we test the ping between VLANs, the switch can do this, and we can, and the switch have the possibility to forward or routing between VLANs. لكن between networks we need to use router.